Hey, what's up? Welcome back to another edition of the Mandatory Live Fight Preview Show. Now, we got lots to get into this morning, but first, I want to say if you like the content, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. Also, follow us on our social media channels. We're at the Mandatory TKO. And also, if you have a couple of minutes, we're also on the audio side. So, like I said, if you got a couple of minutes, leave a rate and review because obviously that helps the channel grow. And you could also give us a 5-star there because, I mean, why wouldn't you? But nonetheless, we got a big heavyweight matchup coming up this Saturday. And, you know, if you told me about this fight, Bryan, maybe like 2 years ago, I would have had a clear-cut winner. I would have known who I was going to go with. But now I'm feeling really, and this might not be the perception of everybody else, but you could probably say that this is a 50-50 fight in the sense that Daniel Dubois definitely has a chance against Anthony Joshua. Now we're going to break it all down, and then after we're going to give you some of our favorite bets for this fight. Here are our best bets for Anthony Joshua and Daniel Dubois. Straight up on the money line, Anthony Joshua a minus 500, and then you got Daniel Dubois a plus 350 straight up on the money line. Bryan, how are you betting this, and how do you see the fight going?
I haven't posted the clip of my Action Network preview for this fight because I was waiting for this. If you do go to that video, I'll provide more of an elaboration as to why I like these particular bets for this fight. The first one is my actual bet for this fight, which is over 1.5 knockdowns. So this is not this person to knock this person down or this person. Like, I'm just covering my ass in case we get an upset, basically. There's a chance that each guy can knock the other one down. That's a way to get this. Or just, say AJ knocks down Daniel Dubois twice, Dubois knocks down AJ twice, whatever. But over 1.5 knockdowns out there on the market, minus 140. So juiced a little, but I still love this bet. I think we're going to see at least one, and I would say 2+ knockdowns in this fight because, one, these guys have both been dropped several times already in this career. We've been talking up the power. Like, both of these guys have power, have precision. And Anthony Joshua and Daniel Dubois have also gotten up from several knockdowns in their career. Daniel Dubois gets a lot of shit for not getting up against Alexander Usyk, not getting up against Joe Joyce, but he did get up in an almost disastrous performance against Kevin Lerena, where he got dropped. I think I bet on Kevin Lerena, by the way, as a long shot money line
He
sprinkle.
had an injury in that fight, though. I
He
feel
did.
like he tore something. So that was one of the fights where I take a look back and I'm like, okay,
But
whatever.
this is part of it, though. Like, he gets dropped 3 times in the first round. He looks like he's gonna go. He fights through it and then gets a stoppage in the third round. Like, honestly, it was a damn near heroic performance because, like, the perseverance, like, he gets a lot of shit for lack of toughness, quitting, but he's had a couple of performances he's really had to persevere through, that being one of them. And I know it's Kevin Lerena, whatever. The Jarrell Miller one, he was struggling early, figured that one out, and then, started boxing, was negating Jarrell Miller's pressure fighting a little bit, and then picked him off shot after shot. Did a film study on this on my YouTube channel, and he stops him on the 10th round of that fight, where Jarrell Miller just doesn't have anymore. And Filip Hrgović, we saw that one. He was an underdog for that fight, by the way, like a 2 or 3-1 underdog. And he stops Filip Hrgović in the 8th round. Filip
Let's be
Hrgović can't even.
serious. They were like hyping up Hrgović for a minute.
They
He's
listen. We
well,
both
he's
thought,
a solid boxer, but I mean, there was a lot of hype on Hrgović to win that fight.
we both thought he got a favorable decision against Zhilei Zhang, but he was the favorite going into that fight.
Robbery. That was a robbery, but yeah.
It was unanimous too. But yeah, so I like that over 1.5 knockdowns. And then my long shot for this fight, because I want a piece of this just in case it happens. It was plus 650 earlier in the week. Now it's plus 600. Put like little, tenth of a unit or 0.2 of a unit, which is probably what I'm gonna do. Daniel Dubois gets a stoppage plus 600. I feel
So you're
like,
taking that. So how are
yes.
you betting? Okay, so you're taking the 1.5 over for knockdowns. What's your other bet for, like, not the long shot? Who are you taking?
No, that's it. Those are my 2
Okay.
bets. So I
Okay.
have the knockdown one is like the straight bet, like over 1.5 knockdowns, and then have Daniel Dubois getting the stoppage. This is just a long shot sprinkle just in case. There's not a lot of value on Anthony Joshua getting the stoppage. You would have to be specific about where and when, and in a fight like
Yeah.
this, I don't want to do that. If you want to put Anthony Joshua to get a stoppage in a parlay leg, fine. It's just minus 200 something. So look that. But listen, Daniel Dubois, I think if I think he has a better than puncher's chance, that implies that he has, you know, more of a chance than a plus 600 dog at getting the stoppage. So I think that it's worth a little something.
Yeah, when I take a look at this fight and I take a look at those odds for Daniel Dubois, you're thinking, you know what, there is some very, very good value on Dubois. I actually am betting as well. I already placed my bets on what over 1.5 knockdowns as well. I think we're going to see a couple of knockdowns in this fight, whether it might be Anthony Joshua a couple of times, Daniel Dubois a couple of times, or both of them. I do like the over on 1.5 knockdowns because this is a heavyweight fight and both these guys have power. And you never know what can happen early on. Now, going back to Anthony Joshua, I really feel like this is arguably his toughest fight since Alexander Usyk. It's Daniel Dubois.
Agree.
And this is a type of power that he also hasn't faced in a minute. Like, we know that Alexander Usyk, he does have power, but he's more skilled. He breaks you down throughout the fight. And this is different because Daniel Dubois, he's got dynamite in his hands. So this is going to be one of Anthony Joshua's toughest tests in a very, very long time. And that's what makes this fight a little bit scary. But as I've said, Anthony Joshua, listen, Jermaine Franklin, I don't care what anybody says, he was able to get it done unanimous decision, and he did dominate, and we saw that skill version of Anthony Joshua as well. Robert Helenius, listen, this is a guy that we know what happened with him and Deontay Wilder, but he was able to get it done as well. I believe it was the seventh round that Anthony Joshua got it done. Not the first, like Deontay Wilder, but that was still a very good performance. He got it done in the 7th, and we wanted to see that. Otto Wallin, this was the fight where I'm like, okay, I got to start taking AJ a little bit more seriously because we really saw him put it together. Otto Wallin, I don't care what anybody says, that is a tough fight. He's very skilled. Anthony Joshua was able to get it done in the 5th, and that was very impressive. And then, of course, Francis Ngannou, Tyson Fury. Francis Ngannou dropped him, and Anthony Joshua right away was like, I'm not playing around with this. I got the bag. Now let's get to some business. And great performance, Francis Ngannou. I don't even know if we're going to see Francis Ngannou in the ring anytime soon after that one, if there's been any talk, because that's the type of performance Anthony Joshua had. So trending upwards and is about to be in his toughest fight in a very long time, in a few years since Alexander Usyk, because the last time he fought Usyk was in 2022. So listen, it's been about 2 years, and we kind of saw what was going to happen with the Usyk fight because we saw it twice. Now, Daniel Dubois, everyone can talk about, oh, he quit against Joyce. He had like nerve damage and a busted eye socket. Quit. Like, that's crazy to me. Okay. Like, the dude had nerve damage. But I think it's just been kind of, people don't look at Daniel Dubois as one of the elite guys in the heavyweight division, but I think he started to make some noise. The Usyk fight, I remember when he dropped Usyk in that fight, but apparently it was a low blow. I'm using air quotes, depending on how you saw it. I remember people being like, but you know what? Daniel Dubois dropped him. So they were thinking about that when they were betting on the Usyk Fury fight. Daniel Dubois against Jarrell Miller. Listen, a lot of people were taking Jarrell Miller in that fight. Jarrell Miller he was like 300 pounds in that fight. I don't know what was going on with Jarrell Miller. He did not look very healthy in that fight.
Well,
but
that's kind of just how, like, he just be like that, honestly. Like Jarrell Miller, in terms of so for that fight, he weighed in at 333. Okay. For his career, he's been at 340. He's been at 315. He's hovered around 300 for much of it. When he was coming up here in Brooklyn, I'm in Queens, but here in New York City, he's from Brooklyn. He was like 280, 270, whatever the case, and just, slowly moved up.
There's a lot of controversy with him. Keep in mind that Andy Ruiz was the replacement for Jarrell Miller when he was supposed to fight Anthony Joshua. So kind of full circle how that went. Filip Hrgović, that was a fight for me where I really felt like Daniel Dubois showed how skilled he was, showed off the power against a guy where people were like, listen, Hrgović he's not a bum. Like, this is a guy that's been a top 10 heavyweight, and Daniel Dubois once again, I think he was an underdog again
I bet on
going
him.
into this fight
Mhm.
against Anthony Joshua. Now, here's where the worries come because Daniel Dubois, he gets hit with the right a lot. And we saw that against Filip Hrgovic. He was getting
Mhm.
popped with the right hand. What does Anthony Joshua have? Dynamite in his right hand. Okay, this is pretty much a matchup where Anthony Joshua should dominate on that end because Daniel Dubois, he gets careless defensively. Even when he throws the double jab, he leaves his chin totally exposed. That's also where I think Anthony Joshua is going to be able to land the overhand right. Because what does Anthony Joshua do really well? He does, the stab jab, and then he legit throws the overhand right. That's another punch where I feel like is going to land on Daniel Dubois a lot. But I think Daniel Dubois is going to be able to land on Anthony Joshua as well, even though I feel that Anthony Joshua has gotten better defensively. So I do think this is a fight that won't go the distance, Bryan. I think there's going to be a stoppage in this fight. I just feel like because Daniel Dubois gets hit with the right so much, and we saw Phil Hrgovic just have his way with the right hand. Unless Daniel Dubois has cleaned that up, I see Anthony Joshua finishing this fight in round 7 through 12, and I'm going to take Anthony Joshua there a plus 162. I think he gets it done at Wembley. I would not be surprised if Daniel Dubois gets an upset here, but I'm going to rock with AJ just because I think he's put it all together, and I just don't like how defensively irresponsible Daniel Dubois can be. And against a guy like Anthony Joshua, who's also trending upwards, and I feel like he still feels like he has something to prove for some strange reason. This is a fight that's kind of tailor made for Anthony Joshua to get the win, and I think that's also why we're having it. To be honest with you, because Eddie Hearn's like, like
Eddie Hearn would
yeah,
never do that, you
I don't
know.
know. We should ask Oscar De La Hoya.
Huh.
But nonetheless, that's how I'm betting the fight. 1.5 knockdowns. I like the over there. And then Anthony Joshua to get it done in rounds 7 through 12. I think he's going to be landing that right hand so much on Daniel Dubois, it's going to be breaking him down. And then we're going to get the stoppage. But guys, let us know in the comments how you see this one. Hustleman likes it. Hustleman loves your bets for this one. He said Bryan is going to be happy when he wins both bets. I mean, there's so
I
much
was really good
value.
on the Canelo fight, and I've been this year. This year, the boxing bets have been. Look, it's in the action app. Up whatever units, and the ROI is good. I'm probably jinxing myself because I might fall flat on my face in this fight. But hopefully not. Just a couple other things as it relates to this. So the over under is 7.5 rounds. That's at minus 126 to the over. Your bet would imply that we are going to hit the over in all likelihood.
Yeah.
Um,
But well, here's the thing. I initially wanted to bet rounds 5 through
you
8
love 5 through 8.
because, but
You
I just
love
feel
5
like
through 8.
I love it. And especially in heavyweight fights. I love that. I love that bet. But
Mhm.
I also feel like this fight could be extended when you take a look at Daniel Dubois and the Jarrell Miller fight. Got it done in the 10th round, right?
Yeah, and
Like just at the end, and you just never know, and we don't know how this fight's going to go. Daniel Dubois has power. I also might just sprinkle on Dubois because the odds, they're just too nice.
that's
But
why that's what it is for me. It's a value play, right?
yeah,
It's a value play. The defense is worrisome. This is why Anthony Joshua should be the favorite and is a favorite. I think 5-1 is a lot, which is another reason why I'm like the Dubois sprinkle is worth it at this point. But look, again, Anthony Joshua should win this fight because he's just a better boxer. He's a better counterpuncher. He has a better jab. Daniel Dubois,
better
sneaky good jab.
resume as
Dan-
well.
Daniel Dubois, sneaky good jab, not better than Anthony Joshua's. Anthony Joshua is also going to more comfortably find his range and settle in. Now, Filip Hrgovic is listed 6'6" with an 82-inch reach, which is what Anthony Joshua is. I wouldn't say they box the same way, but Daniel Dubois was able to figure out ways to land on Filip Hrgovic. But in the process of doing that, he ate it was a lot of 1-1-2s. I was watching it through when I was doing the film thing, and it was like a lot of 1-1-2s. It's like, Jesus Christ, man. He just keeps eating these. But, he eventually figured out how to close the gap, pressure him.
He can take a punch though. That's the thing. But
Yeah, but you
Anthony
don't want to do,
Joshua's
but
power
here's
is different than
right.
Hrgovic, right?
Right.
Like, let's be serious here.
That's the other piece of this. Even though he is aging, quote unquote, and Anthony Joshua, like if you want to say he's slightly past his prime, and if his prime ended with the Alexander Usyk losses, I think that would be fair. I still think this version of Anthony Joshua deserves to be favored and would beat most heavyweights in the world. That being said, listen, I don't know if the range is going to be too much for Daniel Dubois to overcome, because at the end of the day, I don't think, while Anthony Joshua has good footwork for a heavyweight, I don't think he's going to be moving around the ring like the way, a flyweight would, so to speak. Like, I don't think it's going to be that. Like, I think Daniel Dubois is going to, like, he's going to have to figure out ways to cut off the ring and fight smarter. And yes, he'll have to take some chances. But I mean, he's not a guy who I think is going to panic in the way that we've seen Anthony Joshua do, I guess.